Hi everyone, so in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to crochet this really cute polka dot bonnet with the bobbles which go all the way around. So this bonnet can be made in 4 different sizes, in size 0 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, toddler size and children's size, and all of the information on how to make those different sizes is included in the tutorial and the written pattern. So for this bonnet you will need a 4mm crochet hook and DK weight yarn. So thank you very much for watching, and please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. And when you subscribe, make sure that you click the little bell button next to the subscribe button so that you receive notifications when I upload a new tutorial. So to begin your bonnet, you want to start off by making a magic circle. So to do a magic circle, take your yarn and take your finger and wrap the yarn around your finger once. And you then want to wrap the yarn back over your finger to create a cross, like that. You then want to take your crochet hook and go underneath the first loop of the cross, and you may need to pull it up a little bit, but go underneath this first loop. And then using your crochet hook, pick up the second loop of the cross and pull it through. And you can then take your finger out, and there we have a magic circle, and we are ready to begin round 1. So to begin round 1, you want to chain 1, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch, this just locks our magic circle into place. So now for round 1, we are going to work 12 double crochets into the magic circle. So 12 double crochets. So you want to yarn over and go down into the magic circle, and yarn over and pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops on your hook. So there we have 1 double crochet into the magic circle. And now we're going to do that again. So yarn over, go back down into the magic circle and work a second double crochet. And keep doing that until you have 12. So there I have finished working those 12 double crochets into the magic circle. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. And now to finish off round 1, we need to close up the magic circle and join. So to close up the magic circle, you want to take this end or this tail here and simply pull it nice and tight. So pull it as tight as you can, and that will close up the magic circle. And now to join, we are going to work a slip stitch into the first double crochet that we worked. So here is the first double crochet, and if you're not sure which stitch to go into, then you can count back 12 stitches. So count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12, and then go into that stitch and yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. So there we have finished round 1, and we're ready to move on to round 2. So to begin round 2, you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So round 2 is a nice easy round. We're just going to work 2 double crochets into every single stitch. So you want to yarn over and go down into this first stitch here, as our chain 1 did not count as a stitch, and work 1 double crochet. And now you want to yarn over and go back down into the same stitch and work a second double crochet. And now you want to do 2 double crochets into the next stitch as well. and then do 2 into the next, and just keep working that all the way around, 2 double crochets into every stitch for round 2. So I have finished working that all the way around for round 2, and at the end of that round you should have 24 double crochets. And now to finish off this round, we're going to go down into the first double crochet that we worked and work a slip stitch. And now we can move on to round 3. So to begin round 3, you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So we're going to start off this round by working 2 double crochets into the first stitch. So yarn over and go down into the first stitch here and work 2 double crochets into this one. And now into the next stitch, we are just going to work 1 double crochet. So yarn over, go down into this next stitch and work 1. And now we're going to do that again. So work 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And then 1 into the next. And just keep repeating that all the way around for round 3. 2 double crochets into 1 stitch and 1 double crochet into the next, all the way around. So I have finished working that all the way around for round 3, and at the end of that round you should have 36 double crochets. And now to finish off this round, we're going to do a slip stitch into the first double crochet that you worked. And now we can move on to round 4. So to begin this round, chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So this round is very similar to last round, but last round we did 2 double crochets into 1 stitch and then 1 double crochet into the next all the way around. And in this round we're going to do 2 double crochets into 1 stitch and then 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. So yarn over and go down into the first stitch and work 2 double crochets. I have 2 double crochets both into that first stitch there, and now we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch and then 1 into the next. So there we have 2, 1, 1, and now we're going to do that again, 2 double crochets into the next stitch and then 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. And just keep repeating that for round 4. 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. So I have come to the end of round 4, and at the end of that round you should have 48 double crochets. And now to finish off, you want to work a slip stitch into the first double crochet that you worked. And now we can move on to round 5. So to start this round, you want to yarn over and go down into the first stitch here and work 2 double crochets into this one. So do 2 double crochets into the first stitch. And now you want to do 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So do 1 into the next stitch and then 1 double crochet into the next and then 1 into the next. And you want to keep repeating that all the way around. So do 2 double crochets into this next stitch here, then 1 into the next, 1 into the next and 1 into the next. And just keep repeating that for this round. 2, 1, 1, 1. I have finished working that all the way around for round 5, and at the end of that round you should have 60 double crochets. And now we can move on to round 6. So to begin this round you want to chain 1 and turn, and as usual that does not count as a stitch. So in this round we are going to do 2 double crochets into 1 stitch and then 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches all the way around. So it follows the same pattern, we just have more double crochets in between our sets of 2 double crochets. So you want to do 2 into this first stitch, and then 1 double crochet into 4 stitches, and just keep repeating that all the way around. 2 1 1 1 1. So there we have come to the end of round 6, and at the end of that round you should have 72 double crochets, and when you get to the end of that round you want to finish off with a slip stitch into the first double crochet that you worked. And now if you were making size 0 to 6 months, so the smallest size, then you want to stop here, so stop at the end of round 6 and move on to round 10. So if you're making size 0 to 6 months, you want to stop here at the end of round 6, do not work rounds 7, 8 or 9 and move straight on to round 10. But if you were making any of the other sizes, you now want to move on to round 7. So if you're making size 0 to 6 months, stop at the end of round 6 and you should have 72 double crochets around and move on to round 10. But if you're making any of the other sizes, we can now move on to round 7. So to begin this round, chain 1 and turn, and again this does not count as a stitch. So we are going to do 2 double crochets into 1 stitch and then 1 double crochet into 5 stitches all the way around. So it follows the same pattern as all of the other rounds, it's just that we have more double crochets again in between our 2 double crochets. So we're going to do 2 double crochets into this first stitch here, and then 1 double crochet into 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And you want to keep repeating that all the way around. 2 1 1 1 1 1, 2 1 1 1 1 1 all the way around. So there we have come to the end of round 7, and at the end of that round you should have 84 double crochets, and then you want to finish off by working a slip stitch into the first double crochet that you worked. And now if you were making size 6 to 12 months, so the second size, so size 6 to 12 months, then you want to stop here at the end of round 7 and move on to round 10. So you do not want to work rounds 8 and 9 if you were making size 6 to 12 months. Stop at the end of round 7 and move on to round 10. So now if you're making any of the other sizes, you want to move on to round 8, and we're going to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And in this round we're going to do 2 double crochets into 1 stitch and then 1 double crochet into 6 stitches all the way around. So do 2 double crochets into the first stitch, and then do 1 double crochet into 6. and just keep repeating this all the way around. So I have finished working that all the way around for round 8, and at the end of that round you should have 96 double crochets, and you want to finish off with a slip stitch into the first double crochet of the round. And now if you are making the toddler size, so if you want your bonnet to be toddler size, then you want to stop here at the end of round 8 and move on to round 10. So if you're making the toddler size, stop at the end of round 8, do not work round 9 and move on to round 10. So you should only be working round 9 if you want to make your bonnet in children's size. So now you want to move on to round 9. So to begin this round, chain 1 and turn. And remember, you should only be working this round if you were working the children's size. So in this round, we are going to do 2 double crochets into 1 stitch and then 1 double crochet into 15 stitches all the way around. So you want to do 2 double crochets into the first stitch and then 1 double crochet into the next one and 1 into the next, and keep going until you have 15, and then repeat that again. 2 double crochets into the next stitch and then 1 double crochet into 15 stitches, and keep repeating that all the way around. So I have finished working that all the way around for round 9, and at the end of that round you should have 102 double crochets, and you want to finish off with a slip stitch into the first double crochet that you worked, like that. And now we can move on to round 10. So we are now on to round 10, and no matter what size you are making, so if you're making size 0 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, the toddler size or the children's size, you want to move on to round 10. So all sizes need to work round 10. And to begin this round, we are going to undo that last slip stitch that we just did at the end of our last increase round. So at the end of your last increase round, whether that was round 6, 7, 8 or 9, we worked a slip stitch at the end. And to begin round 10, we're actually going to undo that slip stitch. So remove your stitch marker and pull your yarn out to undo the slip stitch, and then place your hook back into that last stitch there. And now we are going to redo that last slip stitch and change colours at the same time. So you want to go down into the stitch, so the first stitch or the first double crochet of your last increase round, go down into that stitch, but drop the yarn that you are using and then take your new colour. So this is going to be the colour of your bobbles or your polka dots. So you want to take this new yarn, place it over the end of your hook and pull it through. And there we have worked our slip stitch. So we have reworked that slip stitch but changed colours at the same time. And now we have our new colour ready to use for the next round. And you do not want to fasten off the colour that you are using. So do not cut this yarn, do not fasten off your base colour, as we're going to be using that in round 10 as well. And now we can move on to the rest of round 10. So to begin this round, you want to chain 1 and turn using your new colour. So I'm going to take my new colour here and chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So we are going to start off by working a bobble into the first stitch. So here we have the first stitch here, and we're going to work our first bobble into this one. So to make a bobble, we are going to do 5 double crochets together, all into the same stitch. So you want to yarn over and go into this first stitch here, but when you do that, you want to make sure that you are working over this yarn that we just dropped, so that you are working over your base colour. So yarn over and go into the first stitch, making sure that you're working over your base colour like that, and yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have 1 incomplete double crochet into that stitch there, and we're going to do that 4 more times or 5 times in total. So yarn over, go back down into the same stitch and make sure that you're still working over your base colour, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have a second incomplete double crochet, and now we're going to do that again. So yarn over, go back into the stitch, still work over your base colour, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have a third one, and now do that again for a 4th time, and then a 5th. Yarn over, go down into the same stitch, working over your base colour, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have done 5 incomplete double crochets, and you should have 6 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So now to complete the stitch, to complete 5 double crochets together, you want to yarn over and pull through all 6 of these loops. But we are actually going to change colours at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop the yarn that we were using, so drop your bobble colour and pick your base colour back up. So you should have been working over this yarn. Pick this back up and you can kind of pull it tight to make sure it's nice and neat at the end here. And yarn over and pull through all 6 loops with this yarn. So pull through all 6 loops with your base colour. And there we have finished our bobble, or finished 5 double crochets together into that stitch, and changed colours at the same time. And you do not want to fasten off that yarn that we just dropped, so do not fasten off your bobble colour, as we can pick that back up in a second. And now we are going to do 5 double crochets using our base colour. And when we do those 5 double crochets, we are going to be working over our bobble colour. So yarn over and go into the next stitch here, and make sure that you're working over the bobble colour that you have just dropped, and do 1 double crochet into this stitch, and then do 1 into the next stitch, making sure that you're working over that bobble colour, and then 1 into the next, and then a 4th one. And then we're going to do our 5th double crochet into this next stitch here. So yarn over, go into the stitch, make sure you're still working over your bobble colour, and start to work a double crochet. But whilst working this 5th double crochet, we're going to change back to our bobble colour, or our bobble yarn that we have just been working over. So we have started to work our 5th double crochet into that stitch, and we have 1 step left to go, so we need to yarn over and pull through these 2 loops to complete the stitch. But what we're going to do is drop the yarn that we were using, and then take your yarn that you were working over, and make sure that you pull this tight to keep it nice and neat, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops using that yarn. And there we have completed that 5th double crochet and changed colours at the same time. And now into the next stitch, we are going to work a bobble. We're going to do another bobble, and we're going to do this in the exact same way. So yarn over and go into this next stitch here, making sure that you're working over the yarn that you just dropped, and we're going to do 5 double crochets together all into this stitch. So yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have 1 incomplete double crochet into that stitch, and we need to do that 4 more times, making sure that you are always working over the yarn that you dropped. So like that, so there we have 5 incomplete double crochets, and you should have 6 loops on your hook. And now you want to drop the yarn that you were using, and then take your other yarn that you have been working over, pull this tight to keep it nice and neat, and then yarn over and pull through all 6 loops using this yarn. And there we have completed our bobble into that stitch and changed back to our base colour at the same time. And now we are going to do 5 more double crochets, or 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches, working over the yarn that we just dropped. So yarn over, go into the next stitch and do 1 double crochet, and then do one into the next, and the next, and the next, and then one more. So do your 5th double crochet, and whilst working this 5th one, you need to change back to your bobble colour. So we have one last step left to work for this double crochet. So now we're going to drop that yarn, pull the yarn that we were working over tight, and then yarn over and pull through these last 2 loops. So there we have done 5 double crochets working over our bobble colour that we dropped, and then we have changed back to the bobble colour whilst working the 5th double crochet at the end. And we're going to repeat this all the way along until you have just 6 stitches left at the end of the round. So we have done a bobble, then 5 double crochets, then another bobble and 5 double crochets, and we're going to keep repeating that all the way around until you have just 6 stitches left at the end. So into the next stitch here we will do a bobble, and then we will do 5 double crochets, then a bobble, and then 5 double crochets, and just keep repeating that until you have 6 stitches left at the end. And the number of repeats that you will need to do will depend on what size bonnet you are making. So the bigger size you are doing, the more repeats you will need to do. And it's really important to make sure that you are changing colours at the end of the bobble and then at the end of the 5th double crochet, and that you are working over the yarn that you dropped throughout your work. So we're going to do our next repeat. So I'm going to do a bobble into this next stitch here, working over the yarn that I just dropped. And then I'm going to pull this yarn tight. So pull the yarn that I have been working over tight, drop the yarn I was using, and then take my base colour, pick it back up and yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. And now I'm going to do 5 double crochets working over my bobble colour, and I'm going to change back to my bobble colour whilst working the final one, whilst working the 5th double crochet. So like that, and just keep repeating that until you have just 6 stitches left at the end. And this is what we have. So you can see we are getting our little polka dots. And if you wanted your bonnet just to be in one solid colour, then you just want to work the exact same stitches just without the colour changes. And it's much easier if you just want to do it in one colour. So I have finished repeating that all the way around, and I have 6 stitches left at the end. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches left. So I have done my last set of 5 double crochets and changed colours whilst working that 5th one. And now to finish off round 10, we are going to work a final bobble into this next stitch here. So we have changed colours at the end of this last double crochet, and now we're going to work a bobble into this next stitch, and make sure that you're still working over your base colour here. So do a final bobble, and change back to your base colour whilst working this bobble as normal. And there we have finished round 10. And now what you can do at the end of this round is you can fasten off the colour that you were using. So you can fasten off this bobble colour here. So fasten off your bobble colour, leaving a nice long tail to weave in later. But you want to make sure that you leave your base colour attached to the ball here. So we have our base colour. And now we can move on to round 11. And you should have 5 stitches left at the end here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is going to go at the bottom of our bonnet here at the bottom, and this is where the neck is going to be, and then it's going to come out either side to go around the head. So now we can move on to round 11. So to begin round 11, you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And now this is a nice easy round of double crochet. So we're just going to work 1 double crochet into every single stitch for this round. So yarn over and go down into the first stitch and do 1 double crochet, and then do 1 into the next, and just keep doing this all the way along, all in this colour for round 11. And the bigger the size you were making, the more double crochets you will need to do. So I have finished working that all the way around for round 11, and at the end of that round you should have 5 double crochets less than you had at the end of your last increase round. So 5 double crochets less than your last increase round. And now we can move on to round 12. And round 12 is going to be another round with the bobbles. So you want to start off by chaining 1 and turning, still with your base colour here. So chain 1 and turn, and we are going to do 3 double crochets. So do 1 into the first stitch here, and then 1 into the second stitch, and then 1 into the next, so a third one into the next. But whilst working this third double crochet, we are going to change colours to our bobble colour. So take your bobble colour here, and place it over the end of your hook and pull it through. So change colours to your bobble colour whilst working that third double crochet. And now into the next stitch we are going to do a bobble in the exact same way as we did down here. You want to do 5 double crochets together all into the same stitch. So we're going to yarn over and go into this next stitch here, and make sure when you do this that you are working over the yarn that you just dropped, so that you're working over your base colour, and do a bobble into this stitch. And pull this yarn tight, and then drop the yarn that you were using, and then pick your base colour back up and yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. So you want to do 5 double crochets together all into the same stitch, working over your base colour, and then when you get to the end you want to drop the yarn that you were using, pull your base colour tight, and then yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. So you're working your bobble and changing to your base colour at the same time. And now you want to do 5 double crochets. So you want to do 5 double crochets, 1 into each stitch, making sure that you're working over that yarn that you just dropped. So do 1 into the next stitch here, and 1 into the next, and keep going until you have 5. And then whilst working the 5th one, you want to change back to your bobble colour. So we have been working over this yarn, so when you get to the last step of this double crochet, drop the yarn, pull this yarn tight to keep it nice and neat, and yarn over and pull through both loops. And there we have worked 5 double crochets, changing back to the bobble colour whilst working the 5th one. And now into the next stitch we're going to do another bobble. So do a bobble into this stitch, making sure you're working over your base colour. So like that, and I have changed back to my base colour whilst working the bobble, as we have done lots of times before. And you want to repeat that, so you want to repeat 5 double crochets and then a bobble into the next stitch, again and again and again, until you have just 3 stitches left at the end of the round. So until you have just 3 stitches left. So we're going to do 5 more double crochets and then a bobble into the next, then 5 more double crochets and then a bobble into the next, all the way around until you have just 3 stitches left. And it's really important to change colours whilst working the bobble and change colours whilst working the 5th double crochet and work over the yarn that you just dropped all the time. So keep repeating that until 3 stitches from the end. So I'm just coming to the end of round 12, so I have worked my last bobble here and I have 3 stitches left to work at the end. So I have 3 stitches left, and when you have finished working your last bobble you can fasten off. So pull your yarn out and your hook and cut your yarn, leaving a nice long tail to weave in later. And then to finish off this round we're going to work 1 double crochet into each of those 3 stitches. So finish off by working 3 double crochets in your base colour. So like that, so there I have 3 double crochets and we have finished round 12 and we can move on to round 13. So round 13 is just a nice simple round of double crochet. So it's the exact same thing as we did for round 11. You want to chain 1 and turn and then work 1 double crochet into every single stitch using just your base colour. So we're going to start off by chaining 1 and turning, and then just do 1 double crochet into this first stitch here. And then 1 into the next. And keep working that all the way along, double crochets all the way along, and you should have 5 double crochets less than your last increase round, so the exact same as round 11. And then once you have done that, so once you have come to the end of round 13, for the rest of your bonnet you just want to repeat rounds 10, 11, 12 and 13 again and again and again until you have the length that you like. So here I have finished my bonnet, and this one is size 6 to 12 months, but you just want to keep repeating those rounds 10, 11, 12 and 13 until you have the length bonnet that you like. And you can do as many repeats as you want, and the bigger size you are making, the more repeats you will want to do. So like I said, this one here is size 6 to 12 months, and I did 2 repeats of those rounds. So I have rounds 10, 11, 12 and 13, and then I have 10, 11, 12, 13 for the first repeat, and then 10, 11, 12, 13 for the second repeat. And if you wanted yours just a little bit longer, then you could just repeat rounds 10 and 11 again. You don't have to do the whole 4 rounds as a repeat, as long as you finish on a round of plain double crochet, so round 11 or 13. You can do a half a repeat or a whole repeat, it's completely up to you, as long as the last round that you do is either round 11 or 13, so that you have a nice neat border at the edge. So you can do as many repeats as you like. I would probably say do 1.5 to 2 repeats for the smallest size, 2 repeats for size 6 to 12 months, 2.5 repeats for the toddler size, and then maybe 3 repeats for the children's size, but it's completely up to you. And then once you have finished, the last thing you want to do is add your ties to the end. So for the ties, I just did chains. I chained 100, but you can make them as long as you like, and then tie a knot at the end, and then weave that end nice and securely into the inside. And then you want to go ahead and weave all of the other ends nice and securely into the inside of your bonnet, and that can be a little bit tricky to weave the ends nice and neatly in, especially with the bobble colour. It's much easier if you have done your bonnet in one solid colour, as then you will just probably have 1 or 2 ends to weave in. But if you have lots of different colour changes, just try to weave them in as neat as possible on the inside. But when you have somebody wearing the bonnet, nobody's going to see the inside anyway. And then when you come to the back here with a magic circle, make sure that you pull this end nice and tight before you weave it in. And there we have finished. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it easy to follow. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. And in the description box below this video, I will leave a link to where you can find the written pattern for this bonnet. And in the description box, I will also leave a link to my Instagram and Twitter accounts. So I always like to post updates and pictures on there, especially Instagram, and I would love to see photos of your crochet work on there as well. And thank you again for watching. Bye.